Welcome to the second episode of Mindshift. Just briefly before I introduce my guest today, I just wanted to give you a small overview. What is actually Mindshift? Mindshift is a place, you could say vlog, you could say podcast, you could say show, which is giving you, me and the people I'm inviting here, we're gonna give you some tips, some different perspectives on certain topics, which eventually we hope that is gonna help you to go through the obstacles you're going so that you can achieve the goals you have. It doesn't matter if they're career, relationship, or maybe even just happiness. So today, next to me is the big Kate Dahl. This is the person who I would say I'm super impressed by the way she was getting jobs here in Denmark. I met her 2 years ago in one of my events. We had a very long conversation after that. When she actually explained me what she was doing when she came here in Denmark, that she found 5 different jobs for the first 2 years she was here, which I just want to give you a perspective. Here in Denmark, this sounds insane, especially for foreigner, because actually a lot of people after they finish university, you have this chance. The country is funding you with 2 years. Every month you get some money so that you can get a job. And a lot of people, I don't know the percentage. Maybe Kate can help me if she knows, but the percentage is very big of people who are not finding a job, and they just either come back to some shitty job, or they're going to their countries. But she had something magical in her, which actually is helping this to happen, and I was really impressed by that. So that's why I wanted, we had a meeting last week and I said, wow, you can be one of my guests. You have so much to tell about that. So welcome here.
Thank you.
Kate, I hope that I introduced you in a way.
I thought so. Thank you for coming to my apartment. I'm glad that we're doing this here. So yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. Tell me, first of all, what do you think is the magical thing you have that is helping you to find these jobs?
That's the thing, right? Like, some people think like, oh, I can make their wish come true, but really what I give are the tools to help people with their job search in Denmark as well. So I would say that I don't know if what I say is magical, but I there's two quotes that I like to live by.
Okay.
So I live by the quote, do not let anything or anyone define you. And then the other quote is that you have value and worth.
Okay.
And I think that once you start telling that to yourself and not letting people put barriers on you, I think you can accomplish like a lot of things.
Wow, that sounds really, really, really interesting and valuable for that. But can you give me a little bit more? How do you do that? How do you not let other people define you?
Yeah, that's that's the thing, right? Is that it's about the mindset. It's about changing your mindset and allowing you to think positive and not letting people. So a lot of the times I hear from internationals, like you already mentioned about that, like there's a lot of people who have cleaning jobs or lower kind of jobs, but they're the most highly educated in Denmark. Like, and that's I hear a lot of people who are told that they're not like that to go for a cleaning job and so on. And they have like a PhD, and there's no reason for any international in Denmark to be cleaning someone's toilet if they have a PhD. I'm sorry, like that is not. And I think that when people let them, like if someone were to tell them, look, this is only what you're good for, you're only good for cleaning my toilet, then that's like, then you start to feel like shit. Like, let's be honest here. If someone tells you that over and over, you start to believe it. So you need to, at some point, be able to have to break that and say, no, I'm not going to listen to them. I have value and worth, and I'm going to go for my dream, which is my PhD, or I'm going to reinvent myself to do something where I feel better about myself than just cleaning someone's toilet. Like, let's be real here.
That sounds really reasonable, and I'm really, when you said it, I did feel so right when you say, okay, you have a job right now, you just need to do that in order to make some money. But doesn't mean that this is you, or this is defined by you, that you're cleaning,
right?
Because you have a lot of worth in you, and you need to realize this worth.
Yes,
So
exactly. And people need to get out of this mentality and be able to change their mindset. And really, it's not only about changing their mindset. It's like once you're given tools, I really believe that they can help you achieve great things, and that is to help you get to where you want to go.
Wow, that sounds real. I just want to get a little bit deeper in that. Let me know, because you have already a great experience in helping internationals to find jobs here in Denmark. What are some of the mindset or perspectives they have, so you help them to change them?
Yeah.
Is there something which is common for people which is staying on their way?
Yeah, well, really, I really think that in order to change the barrier, that you need to start like being proactive and being more engaged, instead of like sulking and sitting, like feeling sorry for yourself. You can go and say, look, I'm going to do something about it and change it. And I think that if you go out and get the tools that you need to, then I think that it can really help change your mindset in that sense. And part of that barrier is I'll actually send you a link, and one of them is about like how to gain I have 2 articles that I have on my LinkedIn profile, so you can check out my LinkedIn profile as well, Kate Dahl, job consultant for internationals. And there's an article I wrote about being confident, how to gain your confidence, and also about how to stay positive, because I think being positive and surrounding yourself with positivity really helps in changing your mindset as well. But I think that's the other part is about having the tools, like for example with job searching, about making the call, or how to communicate your value, how to change your CV, cover letter, how to network, also coffee meetings, and LinkedIn content, and like how to communicate in a job interview as well. So once you have all these things combined, I firmly believe it can really help you pave the way to where you want to go.
So actually, what I can hear from all of this valuable information you gave is that you, first of all, if you feel like you are you don't have enough information about it, you can, one of the mind shifts you can do is just to go and try to find help from people who are expert in this thing, so they can give you a different perspective on that.
Yes.
Because I guess some people just believe I can read some article and I can go and do it, and maybe it doesn't happen. There is something which I can change. So actually what you're suggesting is that there is some mind shift you can do in all these areas, like networking, like coffee meetings, like calling and everything, which can help you to actually become better in job search in general.
Yeah, exactly. And I really firmly believe that as well. And I think that's why you should also hire this guy to help you with your changing, like what you call like having the mental strength as well, because that's what I do, is I only teach the tools, and I've also denied people because they weren't in the right place or in the right mindset to go in. I'll give an example. There was a woman I met who came from South Africa. She came to Aalborg to be with her boyfriend, and like talking to her, she felt so much resentment of coming to Denmark. And I told her, look, like, I can't help you because you are not at the right place. I said, unless you feel like you're okay with being in Denmark and feeling a belonging, and you start to change your mindset and changing your mindset of how your situation is, and figure out these internal struggles. I said, it's going to be so difficult for you to get a job in Denmark. I can't help you.
That's really good point actually, Kate, because one of the things which actually another mind shift you're suggesting, what I can hear, is that you need to first clarify, am I committed to do this thing or I'm not?
Yes.
Because I guess some people are not, and they push and then nothing happens because they don't have actually the desire to do it.
No, and I see that all the time. Like a lot of people also come to me and they say, yeah, I'm committed, but I don't have the finances to do so. So I'm like, well, that's okay. You can go to your A-Casa, or you mentioned about the unemployment. You can go to your university. You can go to an organization that helps and say, look, I want Kate Dahl because she has a high success rate, like 70%, more than 70% success rate, is an international, and also has the practical experience. So it's like, I know what I'm talking about. I know what works. And if you really want it, you'll find a way to get it, because I also want
True.
people who are committed to what they're doing. So if they're not able to get the coaching and help with that, you'll either A, you'll find a way, or B, you need to go to the organizations and say, look, we want Kate Dahl, so that then it will be free for you.
And that's another thing, because here you're giving options, again changing the mind, because when you just see one option, I have money or I don't have money, so I can hire you or I cannot hire you. But then you say, okay, but you have options.
Yeah.
If you know that you want something, you're gonna find a way to have it.
Yes, exactly.
So this is another very, very interesting place, because I think some people also don't see that. And I'm really happy that you're doing it, and even saying it now, because I guess a lot of people who are gonna be out there, from the people who know you and know me, they're looking for a job right now, and maybe they get stuck in this point, right? So I'm really curious, for when you came here in Denmark, how were you seeing the opportunity to get a job? I mean, when it went to the job market, what was your mindset, your perspective on that? Just do you remember? How do you see it?
That's interesting, because to tell you a little bit about my background as well, I have a Master of Arts within European Studies, which means political science and economics, and or sociology. It's this interdisciplinary study. And then I was originally planning on going to Brussels and go to an NGO and change the world, for the better place. And then I met Magnus, my husband, and he changed my life in a good way. And then I knew that when he invited me to come to Denmark, because there was a lot of things that were happening at that time, where my teaching wasn't going well, my PhD wasn't going well, I lost a really big client, and I was stuck. And then I applied for a job in China, because a friend of mine said you should really go to China. So I did, and I was offered the job, and it was really good money, paid, it was beyond what I would have wanted. And then I told my boyfriend, now husband, about it, and then he invited me to come to Denmark to move in with him. And that was so scary for me, because it was just the next step in my relationship, or if I want to go for my career. And I remember one of the things I did was that I made a list, and this is also what I help people with changing their mindset or their shift, is to make lists. When you have options presented to you, first you need to evaluate what are your options. That's what you need to do. Look at your options that you have, and then you start making a list. And I always do that, pros and cons. And then I looked at the list. And then I remember thinking about it, and I wrote down on the bottom, underneath the 2 columns, is what would make me happy.
Wow.
And then I remember scratching it, and realized that the list didn't matter. Not at all. So then I went and decided to come, but then I also knew that before coming to Denmark, that I needed to rethink everything completely. Because what are you going to do with a Master of Arts in Aarhus? Aarhus is the second biggest city in Denmark, yes, but it's difficult to get anything unless you go to Copenhagen, and I knew that it was going to be literally impossible to get anything. So then I realized, okay, I made a list of my strengths and my weaknesses, and I remember thinking really deep, and I help internationals with this as well, to really think deeply into their childhood and really think about their skills and competences. So then once I started doing that and thinking and reflecting on my own life, I realized, wow, I'm really good at sales because of this, and all these experiences. So then I went and applied for jobs, and I got interviews while I was in Germany, because I analyzed the market. I analyzed the market and said, okay, these are the skills. This is what I'm interested in. So I went and looked at the market and find out what was the demand. And I found out, okay, sales isn't really high in demand in Denmark, so let's go and let's do it. So then I got help from my in-laws and so on, and that was very valuable. So that's the other thing, is that I also say that opinions are relative, because even my opinion is relative, and everyone relates to different people and everything. So I say even what I say is not law, so you should also get different opinions on things. I think that's really good to do as well. So then, so once I started looking at the market, and I'm telling you this, like, I realized as well that I need to relocate because it was so difficult for me to get into Denmark as an non-EU citizen. I was like, okay, I need to move. I just need to do it. And then as soon as I got into Denmark, within 2 weeks, I got something. And then, like, one of the jobs that I was applying for and had a job interview, they really wanted me. And then that's when I went to my next job, which was the temporary contract. So I'm telling you, it's about your mindset and saying, like, I'm not going to let, like, my degree define me. I'm not going to let myself be defined by not knowing the language. I looked at the market and so on and made my strengths and weaknesses and said, okay, this is what I'm going to go for, and bam.
Wow,
So,
it sounds really, really, really great, because what you're saying actually is exactly that. You actually defined in a way yourself the way you wanted to define yourself.
Yeah.
And when you found the place when you feel confident about, and you feel that you have the competences about, you just started doing it and it happened.
Yeah.
And this is something which every one of us has to think about, because sometimes we try to define ourselves by how our degree, for example, is saying you're good in that and that because you are studying that, but maybe your personality is different. You have strengths which you haven't even realized. And I really love the exercise you said about to write a list about what was actually I was good at when I was child or something.
Yeah.
What I was interested in that.
Because Danes want to know who you are as a person. It's not just about your skills and competences from your university and work studies. They want to know you, and they want to know the person about why you want to go in this field or why you want to go in this direction. So they really want to know you, and that's why I really say to go deep into your childhood, and that's about balancing, being personal and professional, and that's part of it. So like when you reflect on things, don't go say, oh, like changed my like when my grandma's dog died, like it changed my life forever. Like no, don't say stuff like that. Obviously, like you need to really think deeply about why am I good at marketing, or why am I good at this, or what did I do like to get me to where I am now, and you can really think back, because Danes really appreciate that.
So actually, this is, as I understand, this is initially you said about positive thinking. So this is actually the way you think positively. This is the process you are going through in order to.
I think that's part of it. That's part of it as well, and I'll send you an article that you can put in as well about being positive. But one of the things I do is also with meditation. I do different like meditation, like with the waterfall. I surround myself with positivity, having a support buddy. You need to we've talked about this as well. You need to surround yourself with positivity and not let other people you need to think realistically, obviously, and if you want to be a unicorn, I mean, it's probably going to be very impossible to be a unicorn, right? But you can do things to help you think in a different way to help you with that, and I'll send you that article so you can. I
love that. We are gonna do it, and the last question actually I have to you is, I mean, you said a lot about positivity and being also real about the things. How do you find the balance between these two? I mean, because some people say you need to be positive about everything, some people say you need to be realistic about things. Is there what is the difference, and how do you find the balance between these two?
Well, I mean, let's take an example. So let's say you're in marketing and realize, I don't want to go into marketing and I want to be a doctor. Then you maybe need to work a little bit harder to go get that doctor's degree, right? So you can't just go from marketing and be like, I'm going to be a nurse, like starting today, and I have no qualifications, but I'm going to do it. So you have to kind of think a little bit back about, okay, if there is a barrier that you think is going to, then like change that barrier. So if you're going to be realistic and want to be like, go change your, like where you're going to go, then go for your education and be a doctor. Like don't let, and if that's what you want to do, then go do it, because you shouldn't let, you shouldn't let people like make you say, oh well, you're not good at this or not. But if you feel yourself that you are good at it, but you're not quite there yet, then change it, make it happen, do a course, do something that, or learn if people keep saying like, look, like your Danish needs to be better, but you want to be a teacher in Denmark and you want to be a teacher, then like take the barrier off and become a become a teacher, and then learn Danish. But what I teach as well is about how you are able to communicate your value when you're doing a call or something without needing, because I got a job in 2 weeks and my Danish was like crap. Like I didn't understand anything. So of course you need to be realistic, and I tell you, like, you know, with certain areas, like in the fields, yes, you probably need to speak fluent Danish, but there are certain fields like engineering or, you know, in the pharmaceutical industry or sales or marketing, wherever, there are jobs where you don't need to be fluent in Danish. It's just all about how you communicate your value, and that's what I teach. So
I love that. So actually, I have one more question before we go. Let us know, and the people there, if the people now feel stuck in their job search and they just cannot find the way out. What do you think can be the first thing they have to do in order to move?
Yeah, you need to change your mindset. You need to change, like, you need to have the mental strength to be able to get out of the situation that you're in. Just say, look, I'm going to be committed. I'm going to invest in myself, and I'm going to change my situation. And this is what I'm going to do, and make a plan and how you're going to get yourself out of that situation.
So they have to work on developing the way they see the situation in order to make difference.
Yes. They really do.
Perfect. So do you have something else to share before we go?
Yes. So follow me on LinkedIn, on my pages on Career Denmark, as well on Facebook and LinkedIn. I also have a tips and tricks in Aarhus. So if you're in Aarhus, you can come. It will be on the 6th of February. Probably link will be in the bottom as well.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll
so a link in the bottom as well on February 6th. There's going to be 2 great speakers. I will be speaking myself. I've given some tips on how to reinvent yourself, but I will go much more in depth at the event. So please come if you want to learn how to reinvent yourself to help be able to change your mindset in this area of perspective. So
thank you very much, Kate, for being here with me today.
Yes,
and
of course.
Talk to you soon.